So we are reading At the Dark End of the Street, Black Women, Rape and Resistance, A New History of the Civil Rights Movement from Rosa Parks to the Rise of Black Power by Danielle McGuire. And our sessions it started June 3rd and they last until July 29th. They are from 6:30 to 8.
The accelerating media coverage, student-led protests, and a threat to boycott classes forced Circuit Judge W. May Walker to call a special session of the grand jury on May 6, 1959. Students packed the courthouse and gasped when all 4 men pleaded innocent after their previous confessions. For the first time in Florida history, a judge sent the white defendants charged with raping an African American woman back to jail to await their trial. Justice was the last thing the Black community expected. In the 34 years since Florida began sending convicted rapists to the electric chair instead of the gallows, the state had electrocuted 37 African Americans charged with raping white women. Before this, Florida had led the country in per capita lynchings, surpassing notoriously violent states like Mississippi, Georgia, and Louisiana. From 1900 to 1930, white Floridians lynched 281 people, 256 of whom were African American. Throughout its history, Florida had never executed or lynched a white man for raping a Black woman. Florida's violent history included the Little Scottsboro case involving Samuel Shepard, Walter Irvin, and Charles Greenlee, Black men accused of raping a white woman in Groveland, Florida in 1949. After the SCOTUS overturned their guilty verdicts in 1951, Sheriff Willis McCall decided to take justice into his own racist hands and said he killed the sons of bitches. Both the Little Scottsboro and the Beard cases revealed the extent to which the protection of white women served as the ultimate symbol of white male power and the foundation of white supremacy. When African Americans in Tallahassee demanded equal justice for Betty Jean Owens, that foundation began to crumble. So we see Florida has quite a history of racism and has been a place where the Black man or woman need not expect justice. Currently, Marissa Alexander faces a 60-year sentence for shooting a gun in the direction of the man who abused her. No one was hurt. Should the Black community demand and expect justice for Marissa? Is everybody familiar with the Marissa Alexander situation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think? Should we be doing more to fight for her? Should we be surprised that this is happening to her in Florida, the same place where Trayvon Martin was killed and where, what's that guy, Zimmerman was able to stand his ground?
Well, I know personally, I didn't find out about the case until after Trayvon Martin's, after George Zimmerman's verdict. And I remember by that point, I was like, I can't do this. Like, you know, I think that's generally how it was for a lot of people, because her case was not as publicized as Trayvon's murder, mainly because his parents really put his murder in the forefront. They really demanded national attention, and so her case kind of went to the wayside while everyone else was focused on Trayvon. And by the time his verdict came out, and I had learned that she was also in jail because of a stand your ground law, and that the judge was, you know, all she did was give a warning shot because she was being abused. I know for me, I was just like, I don't even know what, by that time, I was just done. you know, I think that was a general reaction to it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know that for Harriet had been posting articles about it. Black Women's Blueprint had been posting articles about it in terms of updating us about what was going on with her case. But I think everybody felt a little hopeless by that point. At least that was the general consensus in my house. Nobody
Mhm.
really knew what to do, especially because, like I said, her case wasn't as publicized. So by the time, you know, it should have been, it wasn't. And I think people just, I don't know, not stopped caring, but got numb. I don't know, you know, and
Mhm.
didn't want to
Mhm.
talk about, you know, just thought that it was going to end up just how George Zimmerman's trial ended up, which is a shame. Doesn't make it right, but I think that's where everybody was.
Interesting. Georgette?
Well, I agree with a lot of the points that Randy, you said. And I also think it was also because we classify this as another black on black crime, and there's also domestic violence involved. And we were fatigued because the media had put, media and everyone involved we were inundated with Trayvon Martin, and emotionally and psychologically. And so when Marissa Alexander, when that started, seeing articles about her case, well, at first, immediately we want to say, well, what was she doing with a gun around a baby? You know, we're immediately blaming the victim again. You know, that was a lot of mindsets.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was, you'd see that in media. Wow. But going back to the question, should we still demand and expect justice for her? Of course, we should still demand it. You know, the problem is getting people together to do that or continue to participate and still feel motivated to participate and care about her really receiving justice. And I think that's another thing that happens, when you see these cases, they're drug out for so long that we just get tired, and then we're caught up in our lives so much that then we just hope that, the legal system will do the right thing. We hope she'll have, a good lawyer. We hope the jury, will see truth as we see it. So,
Right. Yeah, I was. It started out being 20 years that she was facing, and I was shocked recently. I was working on a project and I looked up something about her, and currently the prosecutor is seeking 60 years. Um, so it's going from bad to worse, but but I think that the points that Randy and Georgette have raised are really interesting. Joe, did you want to weigh in on this one?
Yes, ma'am. What struck me about the particular case, not only stand your ground, but often I wonder uh, where are the white feminists when it comes to cases like this particular case?
Right.
Where are the advocates for women's rights and the ones that you will see come out of the woodwork when other women of non-color, when they have domestic violence? Where are these people at? And I think a lot of times when you look at the feminist movement going back to the 20s and whatnot, when you talk about economics, when you talk about race, when you talk about globalization, a lot of times, in my opinion, what you see is you see Caucasians smashing the glass ceiling, but they forget about the person that's working in Walmart. You forget about the other person in the domestic violence. Here, down here in South Carolina, not per capita, but we have more women dying of domestic violence than any other country, any other state in the union. You
Wow.
know, yeah, I mean, that's white women and black women. Why? Because it's a thing of power. The courts don't want to put white men in jail for domestic violence, and you see it all the time. and they lead the country in domestic murder by white men on white women and domestic violence. It's all over the place here. They did a piece on Al Jazeera, came down to Horry County about domestic violence here in South Carolina. So I look at the feminists. Where are the Caucasian women and sisterhood when it comes to this particular case and any other case when it comes to domestic violence? So I like to take things, let's look at it from not just, what's happening to, how's this a social issue and how are the women, yet again look at the justice system, where's the justice when it comes to that, not just from a black perspective, but for women period. And where are the white women and women with the sisters in the sisterhood of African Americans are being having issues as well?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, and also Georgette's point about looking at this on as a black on black crime. I do think there's something different. Basically all of the stories that we're reading about in this book that involve rape are white men raping black women and girls. And I do think something, different happens when it's one black person doing something atrocious to another black person, or as in the case of Marissa, it doesn't generate our outrage in the same way. But I also thought it was really interesting what Randy said about the fatigue, because I just really have assumed that the lack of activism around Marissa had more to do with the fact that she was a female and Trayvon was a male than anything else. But but you guys are right. There really are a lot of different dynamics there. We see George Zimmerman as a white man killing a black man. So yeah, a lot of different ways to look at it.